something really good, a hot topic in the news this week. He's been charged with a crime. This is a show where I try to educate real stories. Thank you for watching Truth and Justice with Vivian King. We're going to talk tonight about a theft by check case that really hurt someone's life. Really interesting story. I want to talk to you tonight. My special guest is Tangi Smith. Tangi, say hi to the cameras.
Hi.
And then I have my co-host, Danny Sneed. Danny, will you say hi to the cameras?
How you doing?
It's 2025. Can you believe that? I've been doing this since 2011, I believe. So it's been a long time. But thank you for watching. So tonight we're going to talk about the problems Tangi had in the criminal justice system. As you know, I created this show to talk about and educate people about the criminal justice system through people's stories. So Tangi, tell us about your stint in jail. How did you wind up in jail?
I wound up in jail because of the check that I had written that I had totally forgotten about. I was arrested at school.
But let's talk about the check.
Okay.
So it was a $3,500 check.
It was a $3,500 check.
What did you purchase for $3,500?
A vehicle, so my children and I can get backwards and forward to school, work, and wherever else we needed to be.
All right, and you said this was in 2000?
This was in 2003.
2003. Mm-hmm. So what did you buy for $3,500?
I bought a Mustang, a Ford Mustang, a green one, GTO. Was it 3.0? Yeah, that's what it was, a 3.0.
But it was used?
It was used, yeah. It was used, something that I thought that I wanted. And we did what we did. We rode around Houston. We thought we had a car. My kids was able to get to school backwards and forward. I was able to get to work. I was happy.
So where did you buy the car?
Mike Calvert Toyota.
All right, so you give Mike Calvert Toyota a $3,500 check. Mm-hmm. Did you have the money in your account?
I did at the time.
At the time you had the money in your account. Mm-hmm. You got a used car. Mm-hmm. And did you notice that the check had never been cashed?
I did, and I called. And they just told me that they hadn't processed it yet. It was still being processed. So I called my bank. I wanted to know what was going on, why the check hadn't been cashed. And they said that they hadn't found anything or seen anything indicating that the check had even been presented to them. So I'm like, okay. So about 4 days later, I called again. I called Mike Calvert again, asked them what's going on with the check. It hadn't been cashed. So I was put on hold. Eventually, I hung up. So as life I started doing me. I started paying attention to me. But every now and then I would call the bank and ask them, had they cashed that check yet? And they would say, no, nothing had came through yet about that check. So guess what? I was in the middle of my life. I was being a mom. I was being somebody's wife. So I wasn't worried about it. If they wasn't concerned about it, I wasn't concerned about it either. I know that they had what they had because I give it to them and their funds was in the bank. So it was up to them to get it.
So what happened after that? As it relates to the check, how did you find out that the check, how did it become a theft by check case?
It came a theft by check case, 7 years later?
So what happened? You said that Mike Calvert changed owners?
They changed owners, they changed managements, and the management company found the check in the drawer. They cashed the check.
How many years later?
This was 7 years later.
2010.
Yeah.
Oh, was it 2010?
2008. Yeah. 6 years later. So,
okay, I thought you said it was 2005. Okay, so
2005 is when they filed the warrant for my arrest. Okay. But 2008 is when they actually arrested me.
All right, but so that means in 2005, if there wasn't a warrant, that's when the check was. That's when they said that you hadn't paid the check. That's when they filed it with the district attorney's office.
Okay. Nobody called me and said that, hey, you got a check down here.
Had you moved?
No, I was still in the same place, still in the same spot.
The bank didn't try to notify you
They didn't say anything to me.
But no. Listen to this. So when you write a check and they were in a entity, like if it was Mike Calvert waited 3 to 5 years to cash it, the bank is just going to just process it. Nobody's looking at it. It's just being processed. And if she doesn't have the money in the account, it's going to go back to Mike Calvert. So the bank is not going to call her then because it's just going through, it's going through electronically. It's not going through like, it's not over the counter. You know what I'm saying? So there's somebody, like you go try to cash a check and they'd say, oh, this is a bad check. It's not going that. They might have deposited 50 checks that day. So it's just going out like you do at a grocery store. So when that happens and it comes back, to become a theft by check case, under the law, the entity has to send you a certified demand letter to demand payment in 10 days to the last known address. Do you think you had moved?
I didn't.
You didn't move. So they're supposed to have they're supposed to send you they're supposed to send you a letter saying pay me in 10 days when they get the check back from the bank.
Right.
And then when they get the green card back that you didn't pick it up, then they can take that to the district attorney's office or a justice of the peace court, but mostly the district attorney's office, and say, this is presumption that she knew that she didn't have the money in her account. The thing that's messed up about her case is that if they waited 3 to 5 years before they cashed it, and she still lived at the same place, then I don't know. I mean, she could have beat that case, to be honest with you. She could have beat that case because she still lived at the same place. And so, and had the same phone number. They would have to prove another way. Now, it's possible that if they sent you a certified letter and you did not pick it up and it came back, then they can bring that to the district attorney's office. And that could have happened. Sometimes I've gotten certified letters and I don't go pick them up. You know, they leave the little brown slip in your mailbox to tell you there's something at the post office. That could have happened, where you just didn't pick it up because life was happening. I don't know. But it just sounds funny. And the check is really stale. I mean, if they wait that long to do it, that's a long time to try to cash a check 3 years later or 5 years later.
I thought the bank had some type of policy, like 120 days from the date of that check being written, that if it isn't processed, it's not valid anymore after
No,
a certain
that's
time.
not the law.
That's not the
That's
law.
not the law.
So
As long as the check is alive, it can be cashed.
It has no statute of limitations on the
Not
check.
that part.
Not that part. There's some statutes, but not on that.
Yeah, not on that.
No.
And then, this was another thing that was quite damning to me. I let the district attorney's office know, hey, the catalytic converter fell out of my car. So I took the car back. So they have their car. Why are you trying to file these charges on me?
How long after you bought it did you take it back?
It was maybe like 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks later. So I didn't have the car.
Well, maybe that's why they didn't cash it. So what it sounds like is when she took the car back, they still had the check, so they never cashed it. And when they got the new management and they found the check, they processed it. 'Cause if you gave the car back,
I gave the car back, but
so they shouldn't have. Then why would they keep your money?
this is what I got from the district attorney's office after we were talking. Even though I gave the car back and the catalytic converter was bad, I still wrote the check. So I was still responsible for them receiving their money. And I was trying to explain to them, I purchased this car in 2003. It's 2008. What are you talking about?
And you gave the car back in 2003.
Yeah. So let me tell you this. It was also 2 months before the statute of limitation was to expire on the whole entire case. So they actually arrested me, put me in jail the 2 months before the statute of limitations.
The statute of limitations runs in 3 years.
Yeah. So it was 2 months.
From the time you did it. So if you did it in 2003, was it 2003?
Yeah, but she told me it was 8 years.
It's not. It was 3 years.
Yeah, she told me 8 years.
It was 3.
Yeah. So they wound up putting me in jail and taking away everything from me.
But I think, okay, 2000. If you wrote it in 2003.
I wrote it in 2003.
Let me tell you what the statute of limitations is. 3 years for them to file. So when the warrant was issued in 2005, it was 2 years. So they have to file it by then. That's where the statute counts. So they filed it within the 3 years. It's not when you get arrested. It's when it's filed. Okay. So if a case is filed, if a crime is committed, it has to be filed within 3 years. You don't have to be arrested within 3 years. You understand what I'm saying? So they did it in 5, so that's within the 3 years. So the statute of limitations had to run for them to file it. And then Harris County is so large that when cases are filed like that and they're not high priority, it's not a dangerous situation, they just wait until you get on traffic stop and get arrested. The sheriffs don't go out looking for you generally, unless there's some new sheriff that says, I'm going to clean up all these warrants. But they don't just do it right away, because it had been some years before they start tracking her down.
So I have another question, because nonviolent offenses and first-time offenses, did they try to offer you like probation or something?
Mm-mm. Mary Lou Kill didn't offer me any of that. My attorney didn't fight for any of that. She basically gave me what the prosecutor asked for, and that's for me to go to jail, and that's for me to pay restitution. I'm like, I don't have any restitution. I don't have a vehicle. I don't have that car. So why do I have to pay for that? So,
did you have any proof that you took the car back?
Yeah, I did. But that was null and void because they didn't want to see that. Judge Kill did not want to see any of that. Prosecuting team did not want to see any of that. They basically wanted to see me locked up because Devon Anderson was running for re-election. So that's what that was all about.
But they couldn't tell you that, though.
They couldn't tell me that, but they can basically push that on me and lead me to believe what it was, and that's what they did. They didn't tell me that that's what they were doing. I put that together. I understood it.
I'm not disagreeing with you, but how was your case going to get him reelected? Just such a low-level case.
No. This is what she did, period. She did a sweep across Harris County.
Okay.
She was looking for anything that had open warrants on it so she can show and prove that she was fighting for crime. She was fighting against crime. So that right there was a crime because I wrote the check. That right there was showing that I was guilty because I did it. So it showed the public that she was really fighting for their best interest, and that was to fight crime. So she did what she was supposed to do. It's just I just got caught up in an unfortunate situation.
Well, let me ask you this. Sitting here today, you're in a wheelchair. They might not can tell that from looking at you on TV. When did you get? When did your life change to where you had to get in a wheelchair?
My life changed in 2005.
Okay, and that's before the arrest, right?
This was before the arrest.
And tell us what happened to you. You were just a normal person.
Person.
And we didn't talk about the beginning of your life like I normally do. So you said you were raised by a single grandparent?
Yeah. My grandmother, Olivia Shoulders, in Kearney Homes.
All right.
I attended Jack Yates. I went to Blackshaw Elementary, got 2 degrees out of Texas Southern University, and I'm just a third ward girl.
So all of that happened before this check?
No. All of this happened after the check and during the check because the check was like
So what year did you graduate from high school?
89.
All right, so you were out of high school.
Right.
All right, and you'd probably been going to college.
Yeah, been going to college on and off, been
working, having kids.
Working, having kids. Just
how many children do you have?
I have 4. So doing the things that people do, in everyday life, just living their life accordingly, minding their own business, making sure that they're taking care of themselves and their families. That's exactly what it was that I was doing. Lo and behold, I got a divorce. My husband left me with nothing. So I'm trying to piece together my little monies together so I can go ahead and continue to live my life the way that I had been living. So yes, I did. I went in, I'm like, okay, I got this money saved up, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to purchase us a car so we don't have to stand in the heat and wait on the bus. And I ain't got to get up in the cold and go wait on the bus and get y'all to school. So mommy gonna get us a car. So guess what? Mommy went down.
So that's the cash car.
Yeah, that's the cash car. Yeah, that's the cash car. So mommy went on down to Mike Calvert and did that. She went and purchased this car. We were super excited. Okay, we were super excited.
What did you do in 2 weeks when the catalytic converter fell out? What did you do?
Call Mike Calvert and tell him something wrong with this car. And they say, well, it's as is, no warranty. You don't have a warranty on it unless it's manufactured. Unless I don't know what's going to be covered underneath the manufacturer's warranty. I'm a lady. I've never had to do anything about a car no more than put gas in.
But it's a lemon law. Lemon law, at least you can't. The lemon law is what, 30 days when you buy a vehicle?
I think it's 30 days.
But that's why they create the lemon law, that if you sell someone a vehicle, it can't fail within the first
couple weeks. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know about that because we didn't have conversations about the lemon law.
So did Mike Calvert pick the car up?
They did.
Okay, they picked it up. Mm-hmm. Did you ask them for your money back?
I didn't. I didn't ask them for my money back. I was looking for another car.
Did you get another car?
I didn't because they said I need more money.
I see.
Yeah. So I didn't. So I understand it's very naive and it's very, strange for me to say I didn't. I was thinking that they were going to give me a replacer car for the car that was not working, and that did not happen.
Or put another catalytic converter in there.
No, they weren't doing that either.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that didn't happen. All right. So when your life, let's talk about, okay, so you got 4 children, got divorced, and then tell us why you're in a wheelchair. So that's when your life changed in 2005. Tell me what happened.
Yes. So we're going to go back to the winter of 2004. One of my co-workers, it was his birthday. So we decided to treat him to a Japanese restaurant because he's an Amerasian. So we all went out. We had a wonderful time, wonderful time. And everything was okay. So going into 2005, I caught a cold. I got sick. So I'm like, okay, just common cold. I can just do some OTCs and get myself back to work. And that's what I did. But I noticed that things were different. This is not the normal cold activity, not flu-like activities. I'm ill. So I go to the hospital.
Could you walk?
I could. Yeah, I could. I was walking and driving and everything. So I go to the hospital. They say, no, we can't find anything. Just go and get you some bed rest and take this right here. So I took those meds, went and got some bed rest, and a couple of days later, I'm still feeling the same.
What was hurting you? What was in your body hurting you?
I was fatigued.
Okay.
I was tired, but it was a different type of tired. It wasn't the type of tired that we feel. It's like, I can't get my head off this pillow. If I turn over, I'm really want to go to sleep. It was that kind of tired, a type of tired that I've never experienced before. So I called my mom. I'm like, I'm not feeling well. I'm going to go to the doctor again. She was like, okay, yeah, go do that. So I jump in my car. I go to the doctor. I black out. I bumped the back of somebody else's car because I blacked out. Before I know it, the paramedics and my husband was there. I'm trying to figure out what's going on. I'm still out of it. So they take me to, a hospital in Spring Branch. I think it was Spring Branch, Memorial Hermann Spring Branch or something like that. They take me there. They admit me. They're like, yeah, something going on. So they diagnosed me with pregnancy. But I'm like, okay, I've already been pregnant, so I've never felt this type of way before, so I don't know.
You were pregnant?
I was, but I've never felt like that before. I didn't know what that type of pregnancy, even though I heard my grandma say pregnancy is different, each one of them is different, you just never can tell. I'm like, okay, so I'm going to go with that. About 4 days passed by again. I'm still feeling bad. I'm like, no, this is not that. So I go to Ben Taub. Ben Taub admits me. They do all this tests. They get the test results back. They immediately admit me into the hospital and say, Miss Terrell, you're sick. And we don't know what's wrong with you, but you're sick. We need to find out what's going on. So from March the 3rd all over until August the 5th, I was in that hospital. And if I tell you they ran every type of test on me, they told my mother, we will not let her die because we need to figure out what's wrong with her. So they start asking questions. When did you go out of the country? Had you ever been out of the country? What was the last thing you ate? Where did you get it from? I'm talking about all type of questions. I'm talking about I felt infiltrated. I felt like I was being interrogated. When I got through answering all those questions, they came back and said, we need to do a biopsy on your cerebellum. They did biopsy.
What's cerebellum?
On the back of my brain. They went in there, did a small incision, took a piece out of it to see what was going on. They sent it to the CDC in Atlanta. About 9 days later, they come back and they tell me I have TB Meningitis. And I'm like, how? So that's when they were saying, you contracted meningitis through the food that you ate. How? How is that possible? So I'm confused. I'm trying to understand how. So he had me to backtrack every restaurant that I went to from December of 2024 all the way up into February of 2025. They went to each one of those restaurants and they test all of the employees that was cooking.
You're saying 24, but you meant 2004.
Yeah, 2004. I'm sorry. Yeah, 2004, 2005. And they tested all of the employers that was working in the kitchen, doing cleaning, doing dishes, and any of that. And they came with 2 prospects. They drew blood, did everything they needed to do, and found out where I got my sickness from. That's what changed my life. That's what turned my life around. then in the
So
hospital.
those two people had what?
They had TB.
Both of them had
Both
TB.
of them.
And it was a Japanese restaurant in Houston. Wow.
Yeah, Japanese restaurant in Houston.
Wow. That's not opened anymore.
It's not open anymore. It's not open anymore. So I say the good thing out of that is Harris County did their job because they made sure that sneeze guards went up in all buffet restaurants.
So this was a Japanese buffet.
Yeah. They made sure that notes were on the top of the sneeze guard stating that you eat at your own risk. If I tell you I felt rewarded, and I know some people saying how, I felt rewarded because I have my life and I can tell my story. I feel rewarded simply because Harris County did not fail me. They made sure that people that came behind me wouldn't be like me and the 4 of the coworkers that I have.
So 4 of the coworkers got sick?
Yeah, 4 of the coworkers. And like I said before,
Now, when you told them about the restaurants you went to and they tested people, did they also at that point go look at your other coworkers?
They did. They did. They visited all of us. They did. They visited all of us, you know. And I just didn't know that they would go to that extent to make sure that people's public health was the way it's supposed to be. And that's when I learned that Harris County really don't play when it comes to public health. And when you sick, you know, because I could have made other people sick, but I just thank God that I was not contagious with TB because it was in my spine and it wasn't pulmonary. So I was able to be in the atmosphere and able to share rooms with other people, and other people were able to come in and visit me without being contaminated.
So TB must be highly contagious.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. In the early days, a lot of people had TBs. In years past, like my father's generation, he was born in 1990.
So that's why they were so aggressive, saying we got to find out the source of this.
Well, they just
because
didn't know
it's
what it
in
was.
the.
They didn't know what
They
it
didn't know what
was.
it was. They were.
But once they found out what it was, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they went through a lot to find out what it was. Because imagine testing everybody at a restaurant.
Yeah.
I mean, you work at a restaurant and you got to be tested because she caught something a year later, or 6 months
6
later.
months later, yeah.
6 months later. I mean, that is some aggressive, good.
It
public
was.
health
It was.
concern.
It was really good. You know, it was really, really good. And I don't feel let down because they let me know they're going to find out the root cause of this and they're going to find out so Houston won't be caught up in a breakout. I was scared because I'm like, I've never experienced anything like this before, so I have no idea of what's going on. So somebody's going to have to tell me something, educate me on how sick I really am. And they did.
So you stayed in the hospital all that time. When did it come to the point where you couldn't walk anymore?
I lost the feelings in my legs about
While in the hospital?
while in the hospital because it was progressing because they didn't know what was wrong with me. Yeah.
So what is it preventable if they would have found it earlier?
It would have been. I could have
crazy.
gotten on regimens that could have saved my mobility.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
But they didn't know what it was.
They didn't know what it was. So like I say,
Yeah, and I think the antibiotics and the treatment is real aggressive, so they couldn't just give her something.
That's
'Cause
right.
She
They
could have
couldn't
had.
guess at
She
it.
could have had malaria. She could have had all
could
kind of
have
other
been, yeah.
airborne diseases. When you go across to the other countries, they tell you not to bring back fruit from those countries and things like that. And they want to know you have to fill out that form, that U.S. Customs form to say, and it's because of that, because you can get it. And other countries have not been aggressive at eradicating diseases like we have. Like we've eradicated smallpox, but it's still in Africa. In fact, Bill Gates has been working on that now. That's one of the things he's doing in his life. I've been studying the billionaires that are giving 99% of their wealth away. And one of the ways he's doing it is he wants to cure diseases that are curable. And so he's been working on that for years. I mean, actually,
And he got
curing
Buffett
diseases.
to buy into that too, didn't he?
I'm sorry?
He got Warren Buffett to buy
Warren
into
Buffett got Gates to buy into it.
Also, he
Warren
started.
Buffett is 94 years old. He's the one that started it.
Oh, okay.
Warren Buffett started it, and he got all the other billionaires to do it. I think he's got an Amazon guy to do it.
Did he get
all of them are not
Did he get
giving.
Elon to get involved?
Elon's involved. He has them involved. Everybody's not giving 99% of their wealth away, but they're giving away portions. But actually, Warren Buffett turned Bill Gates into it, and Bill Gates, then Buffett is actually going to, when he dies, give his 99% to Bill Gates because he loves the work that he and Melinda Gates were doing. And I've watched specials on this, so I've seen that they are going and taking these little babies. The hardest part he's having is in 2 countries, India and some part of Africa, because they're not letting them, the governments there are not letting them come in and do it, telling them that the U.S. guys give them these shots is going to kill them when they're already dying. But they've cured it in certain countries. They've actually cured smallpox and what's that other one little kids get?
Malaria?
No. It's a hard one to say. Hold on, you're not going to think of it. Percussion. What's it? It's. He's trying to say it for me. Huh?
Pertussis.
Pertussis. Okay. It's another one. You never hear of it anymore, but
Right.
little kids get the shots for it when your babies get them for it because they've already cured it.
Cured it, okay.
Yeah, they've already cured. They've cured it here, and he's curing it in many countries in Africa. Not every country in Africa is not allowing it because it's a big continent.
Right.
But he's cured it in a lot of places. Those two are the ones that he wants to spend his millions on something where he can see the benefits. He don't want to be like Jerry's kids. You know, Jerry worked on that for 50 years,
Yeah.
and they never could.
Find anything.
They
yeah.
could never cure it.
Yeah.
He wants to spend his on something that he can do, and he knows all about it.
Are they still doing those Jerry Lewis telethons?
Jerry Lewis dead. They don't
No,
do
they
it
could have still been doing it in the
No.
They're not doing it.
I wasn't finished. He's dead, and he stopped right before he died because he said he did it for so many years, and they never could cure it.
Yeah.
They never could cure it, so he actually finally got tired. But he was real old when he died too. He just died lately. He was in his 90s.
Right.
He lived way past the rest of
Right.
the Rat Pack.
Right.
He just died recently. I keep up with that. I keep up with those diseases for some reason. I don't know why. I read about
They
them.
had to raise billions.
He has, but he said he could not cure that. He has had a whole interview about it. I've watched.
What was he trying to cure? Polio?
It was one of the ones that cripples you.
Multiple sclerosis?
I thought it was polio.
No, it wasn't
wasn't
polio. Polio we cured.
Oh, okay.
We cured that with the sugar cube in the 60s.
It
or
wasn't
maybe
multiple
50s.
sclerosis?
It's MS. Yeah, it is.
Oh,
multiple
MS,
sclerosis. It
okay.
is. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah, MS. Yeah, you're right, Dan. It's multiple sclerosis. They always said MS, so I forgot what it stood for. Multiple
okay.
Multiple
Yeah, you're
sclerosis, right.
That is it. Yeah, they've made a lot of headway on it, but it's never been cured. But they haven't had a lot of headway. He wanted it to be cured like smallpox and like pertussis and a lot of other ones, you know. Anyway, so back to you. So you lost feelings in your legs while you were in the hospital, and then what? What did they say could happen? I mean, what's the treatment for it once you get it?
Intense physical therapy was the notes that I had when I left the hospital in 2005. So from then all the way up until now, I've been doing physical therapy on and off. So now, come March, I'll be doing aquatics again to try to get the strength rebuilt in my legs so that I can start wearing braces so that I can walk. So it's been a very long
Oh my
progress.
God, because it's 20 years.
Yeah.
Almost 20 years.
Almost, yeah.
Almost
yeah.
20 years.
My grandson just turned 18 on the 23rd of November, and that marked it. You know what I'm saying? I've been in this chair 18 years. So,
Wow.
yeah, it's been a very long time, but it's okay, you know.
Well, I know one of the times I met you, you said you're gonna walk again.
Oh yeah.
You have such a good attitude about it.
Thank you.
And don't you have like a modified vehicle?
I do. I have a modified vehicle, and all of the gears are on the wheel, so I don't have to worry about braking and stopping like a regular person would do, a normal person would do. I can brake and stop my car at the steering wheel level, so it's good. It's like I've gotten so used to it now till it don't even faze me no more. But when I first got it, I'm like, oh, I can't drive this car. This is different.
Can you walk on crutches?
I can't.
You can?
I can't.
Cannot.
I cannot. I cannot stand up at all.
Wow.
Yeah, I cannot.
So how do you get in your car?
Transfer board.
Okay.
Yeah, transfer board.
And you came by yourself tonight?
I did.
Wow.
I did.
And every time I've seen you at events, I see her at a lot of events, helping the formerly incarcerated, helping women who need help. That's where I met Tangi, and you're always happy and in her wheelchair.
And
She's in a wheelchair now. You just can't see it.
No, and doing the work that people with too healthy
Legs.
not going to ever do.
Right.
So push you up for that.
Thank you.
Yeah, you are committed.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate it. I admire you for that.
Thank you.
I admire your good attitude about it. All right, so I talked about your journey with meningitis, spinal meningitis, because I wanted to say that go back to your arrest. So now you get arrested in 2008. Is it just a normal traffic stop? How did you get arrested?
This was not a traffic stop. I was in school.
Okay.
I was in my class when the detective came and interrupted the class and told my teacher he needed to speak to me, point out Tangi Smith. And that's what they did. I mean, 10 Unique Terrell, because I was a Terrell at that time. And that's what they did. He pointed me out. And he escorted me to the hall and told me that I had a warrant out for my arrest. I'm like, how? What kind of warrant? So his conversation was so vague. I'm talking about extremely vague. He wouldn't tell me what it was for. I didn't learn that until I got into the Sally Port at the county jail. And they gave me papers talking about 30 grand. I'm like, no, this ain't me, because I ain't did nothing for no $30,000. Mm-hmm. So he kept being vague. I didn't learn anything about what was really going on till the next day, okay? The next day.
So tell me how they treated you in this wheelchair in class. I mean, were you treated in a way that was disrespectful to your health situation?
In class or in the county jail?
Anywhere.
In class, I was well respected. People made sure that I had access to everything. HCC has a phenomenal ADA policy. It really is. I have to give them their accolades on that, because it was.
She said ADA, but we'll say
What's the acronym?
It's Americans with Disabilities Act.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Americans. I want to make sure people watching it know Americans with Disabilities Act.
Americans with Disabilities, yes. They have excellent policies at HCC. So nothing was inaccessible for me. I could get to any and everything. The floors were clear, the rooms were wide, everything was spacious, the desk was everything. So I didn't have any problems with that. My problems started coming at the county jail.
So did he actually take you to jail from there?
Yeah.
And left your car at the school?
No. I was riding Metrolift at that time.
I see.
At that time. So I had my power chair.
Okay.
Mind you, my power chair weighed like 150 pounds. He was too old to actually put my power chair in the trunk of the squad car, which I'm telling him I can't stand up and walk and get in the back of this car anyway. So he was like, well, how you think you're going to get to the county jail? I'm like, that's for you to figure out. You came got me. I didn't ask you to come get me. So anyway, make a long story short, they had to call a paddy wagon. They called a paddy wagon. Paddy wagon didn't have a lift on it. So they had to go back and get another wagon that had a lift on it.
Boy. These people
crazy.
go any lengths, man.
Yeah.
And nobody said, man, this ain't even worth it.
It's not even worth it.
Right.
Like, man, we just show up to court.
Yeah. It's not. I didn't have that option.
So they had to get 3 different vehicles. So
Three
on the third
different
one,
vehicles.
the police patrol car, and they get a van with a paddy wagon without a lift, and they get one with the lift.
Yeah.
So did they help you get in it?
They had no choice because I couldn't stand up.
Can't stand up.
Yeah.
And the sergeant on duty, is nobody in the police department have any kind of compassion to stop and say, hold on.
I didn't even see a sergeant.
Like, this is too much. We can do something different. Let's call a district attorney.
And just let it show up in court. Let me ask you this. So once they got you to the booking, how was it at booking?
It was horrible.
Tell us about that.
Still no compassion?
None. I was treated like a criminal.
Did they see your chair? Did they at least?
Of course they
Unload,
did, and I was
unload.
told, don't roll over my fucking foot with that motorized chair.
Wow.
Man, it's just.
Of course.
I just want to think it's some good. Got to be running. Somebody got to be a good person. Everybody can't be just bad people.
Only person that treated me with dignity was Adrian Garcia. He was the sheriff at that time.
Mm-hmm. And he was very compassionate.
Adrian Garcia. They put me on the 6th floor in the county jail with women that fight. I don't fight.
You can't walk.
Even if I could, I don't fight.
Yeah, right.
You know what I'm saying?
I got you.
I don't fight. And I was crying. I'm talking violently, crying. Help me.
And what happened?
I had to stay up in there until the next shift came. I had to use the bathroom. They telling me to get on the pot. No, I can't.
Walk. Yeah, I can't move. Wow.
Well, it was so. Let me ask you something. Was there any of the girls in there compassionate and said, "We're gonna help you"?
No. I was treated like some scum or something that was on the bottom of somebody's shoe or some boo-boo or something.
Well, wait a minute. Let me ask this. So they knew you had a medical issue. There's a medical area.
It is.
There's a medical jail.
And that's where Adrian put me.
Yeah, because you're supposed to be in the medical
I
facility.
was supposed to be in the infirmary.
Yeah, you're supposed to be in the medical
Yes.
facility. Oh, my God.
Yes.
But how did you get to Adrian? How did he find out?
One of the deputies saw me in my chair and asked who sent me up here in a power chair. She asked a lot of questions. I'm talking about a lot of questions. I didn't know what to say. I just told the truth.
Right.
You know? They sent me up here like this downstairs. She said, where did they pick you up from? I said, school. And she said, I know you lying. No, I'm not lying. My books is downstairs in custody right now in my belongings. That's where they picked me up from, HCC. So I'm here. I haven't spoke to my family. They don't know where I'm at.
And I can't walk.
And I can't walk. And I got to go to the bathroom. And on top of that, I can't go like you normally go because I use a catheter. So I need help. And yeah, and about 45, maybe 50 minutes later, they were moving me. Yeah.
My Lord.
They were moving me. And like I say, if it wouldn't have been for her and Adrian Garcia.
Now, when did Adrian step in?
Adrian stepped in during the process of her telling her superior of what was going on and why I was in there, because she said it caught her attention. She seen the motor on the back of my chair.
So you did, so what I was trying to get to, you did eventually meet some human beings.
I did eventually.
In that journey.
Yeah, I did eventually.
But it sounded like it was a horrible journey.
It was a horrible.
Well, I gotta believe it's somebody.
How many? I mean, that's many hours though of just.
Yeah.
We talking 16 hours in a holding tank. We talking.
And
they
she
want
can't go to the bathroom.
I
for
can't go to the
16 hours.
bathroom.
I got to go to the bathroom every hour.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
That's what we talking. We talking. I got to undress. She want me to squat and cough. How?
How?
How? And I know y'all see my condition. I know you see it, but you don't care because that's not what you're supposed to care about. You only care about locking me up and getting me booked and sending me upstairs. That's what your job description is. That's what you're to do. So the human being part of it, or the showing your human side, it wasn't there. You didn't humanize yourself at all. You just saw me as another criminal. You only going by what you see on that paper. What they painted, the picture that they painted on that paper is like I'm a person just running through Harris County, running through Houston, just stealing people's shit. I ain't did that. That's not me.
Right. Wow. So when you got the compassionate lady on duty, and she's had you move. She talked to her superior.
She had me move.
Did some medical people come move you then at that point? Who moved you?
No, they did. The guards did.
Men or women?
No, women. They packed me up and let's go. And guess what? I had this much juice left on my chair.
Because they didn't even think to have it plugged up or anything.
So when I did get to the infirmary, I was able to use the phone. And Mr. Garcia granted for them to give me my power card so that I can charge my chair and I'll be able to use it. Even the doctor in there was discriminative. When I told him what my sickness was and I told him I had TB Meningitis, you could have swore I said that I had something that was going to attack him. He basically just shunned me this way and had no dealings with me and wanted to lock me up in solitary confinement.
Like isolation.
In isolation.
Because they're used to the TB that's contagious.
Yeah.
Because somebody comes into jail all the time and they do isolate
But if
them.
you're a medical doctor, you know the terminology of
I know.
what I
You're
told you.
supposed to know.
You're supposed to know. You're supposed to know. But guess what? I'm just a common dark-skinned woman. I'm a black woman, so you can care less. You just want me out of your hair because you thinking that you're going to catch TB, and I'm just another common criminal Harris County and picked up off the street. So you didn't show any dignity or integrity on how you treated me.
Well, he working at the jail, so I'm pretty sure he was not at the highest level of his
course
profession.
not. Of course not. But guess what? You can always tell when somebody don't belong.
Yeah, because I think as big as Houston is and the medical community is, I'm pretty sure if he was...
I don't know. I just know that he's supposed to...
Memorial Herman somewhere.
Well, he's supposed to know the different types of
He is.
TB
And let me
now.
tell you something. It wasn't like I wasn't a kept person, like I didn't keep my appearance while I was in the world. So you can tell that I had something associated with me to show you that I didn't come off the street.
Right.
So, but what you did is you looked at your job and you just basically say, I'm going to treat them all the same.
Yeah, because so what happens is they create a culture.
They do.
And the new hires come in and they watch the people that's there, how they treat, and they kind of fall in line like we're supposed to not humanize this experience for these people. It's our job to be harsh on everybody that come through in booking. No, nobody gets compassion. You know, everybody gets the same treatment, harsh. And I like to use the word traumatic.
That was traumatizing.
And you can talk to people that have served a lot of times and they ask you, which time is harder, county time or prison time?
County time.
And a lot of us will say, you know, the hardest time I've ever served in an incarceration was county time because this time stops. And you're so close to freedom, but you're so far away.
Yeah.
Right.
Because you can go to the window and look out and see the world is moving.
Right. Right.
But you're not.
Right.
But when you finally go to prison, you're allowed to go to the public library, to church, to recreation, the day room. You have more of a social life.
It creates a prison social life.
Right.
Life, yeah.
You're
I
right.
got it. Yeah, I got it. So let's get back to the case. So, because we have 15 minutes. So you moved to the infirmary. The doctor treated you with hands off, wanted to isolate you. How did you stop him from isolating you?
I couldn't. I mean, the jailers that was there, the deputies were saying, she don't need to be in isolation. She don't have any mental issues. She's sane. She can be in population. So he was just basically saying, do what you want to do. I'm talking about abrupt and disrespectful. And they did what they wanted to do. They did exactly what he told them. They did what they wanted to do. They got me out of from going to solitary confinement. So I was actually in population in the infirmary room in the large ward with the rest of the ladies. And that's how I was able to serve my time. But that wasn't a crystal staff for me either, because some of those women were actually convicted criminals. They was in there for some hardcore stuff.
How long did you stay in there?
45 days?
So did they take you to court from there?
They
You
did.
never never bonded out.
I never bonded out because I couldn't afford it.
How much was your bond?
It was $2,000.
Wow.
Yeah.
But so if it was $2,000, you don't have to pay but 10% of that.
Yeah, we didn't have any money.
She didn't have any money. She was riding the metro.
Yeah. We didn't have any money.
This was before
So
the
I'm
bond
thinking about
bail
family
reform.
members. Like, that's my sister up there. That's my cousin. She up there in a wheelchair in the county. We're not going to leave her up there. We can
You're
come.
assuming she has that.
Well, I'm just thinking, out
She was raised
loud.
by her grandmother.
Right, I'm just thinking out loud. And this, you can't go back and relitigate it, but you just won't, your family.
You need to stop making assumptions.
Yeah, because she's not up there for, it's a nonviolent
Okay,
crime.
let her talk about it.
It was a nonviolent crime.
Let her talk about it. She couldn't afford bond.
Yeah,
That's the kind of people that court-appointed lawyers do. I did that for many years, from 1995 until 2007. There are many people back in those days that could not afford bond.
My people
Those are
supposed
the
to come get me.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
but-
My
but-
people
No.
supposed to-
Listen to me. Listen to me. The Harris County Jail, that's why people are thinking now it's still full of people that has misdemeanors. It's not anymore. That changed when Kim Ogg got there in 2017 when I was there. The people in jail now are violent criminals.
Okay.
Because everybody gets a PR bond now that's misdemeanor. They weren't given PR bonds back in those days. And so you had to make a bond and somebody had to go make the bond for you.
See, we just paid rent. We just paid all of our household bills. We didn't have anything left, no more than my bus pass. And my
Yeah.
bus pass was not worthy for $200 to get me out of jail. So I had to stay there,
So who hired, you said you had a free world lawyer, so who
My
hired
daughter, with her next pay period, was able to go and get Jerry.
that? Okay.
And Jerry asked for like $700 or $800 up front. And she gave him her entire check. And then the next pay period, she paid a few of her bills and she gave him the rest of that until we were able to cough up that $3,500. And we coughed it up. And it did not go the way.
But you don't remember Jerry's last name?
I don't. And I'm thinking about it. And when
Do you remember what he looked like?
Short. He's a kind of slender fella, kind of tall skinned, wore a little afro, about this big. I'm gonna get his name and give it to you. Get his last name.
I know some Jerrys, but they don't fit that description. So then the next paycheck she had to do this. So she's staying in jail. Yeah, you probably should have got a court-appointed lawyer for that. But I understand. You wanted a lawyer to do some investigation, but it doesn't appear that he did any investigation.
It didn't.
Sounds like he just went to court.
He just went to court.
Yeah.
What the public defender would have did.
Well, no, I used to be, wasn't a public defender. I was a court-appointed lawyer, and I actually did investigations. I would have looked into it. I would have done exactly what I do with my regular clients, and that is I would have looked into the dates, checked on the statute, checked on the law. I would have done that, and a lot of court-appointed and public defenders do that. But a lot of retained lawyers don't do it. It's 50-50. I mean, it's just a matter of people's. A lot of lawyers that get paid cash money, be at the golf course at 2:00. I'd be at my office till 7 and work on weekends. Remember, you used to work with me on weekends, and those were court-appointed cases, and I was paying you out of my pocket, and I hadn't gotten paid for them yet. So because he used to be my paralegal to go to jail with me with my capital murder guy.
Okay.
So, but those were all court-appointed cases. So anyway, and we were going there on Sunday after church. So I'm just saying, I did that for the court appointed where I hadn't gotten a dime because you didn't get paid then until it was over. Those cases, I didn't get paid on those cases until I got off of them to go to the DA's office in January 17. So I'd been paying you out of my pocket. So I just want to let you know that lawyers it depends on the integrity of the lawyer. And the reason why I was able to build a private practice was because I treated my court appointed lawyers clients just like I would treat them if they paid me. So anyway, he was paying him, so he should have been checking. He should have been checking those dates, realizing how old that case was, finding out if she turned that car in. I mean, he should have done something. Sometimes the records is too old; the records are gone. And finding out if. Let me tell you what the main thing is. The unfortunate part is she couldn't get out of jail. A case like that could be set for trial because the person who gave her the check has to be able to identify her.
Yeah.
And after all those years, they might not even been able to find the person who worked there that took the check. So a lot of times at these grocery stores or any retail business like that, in court, the person who accepted the check that she gave it to. So you might have a salesman at a car lot, but the person you gave was the little cashier, is the person that took the money. You know, like when you get your parts done,
Right.
they send you somewhere else to pay.
Person.
But the person who you actually gave the check to might be the little lady that just gives you the receipt.
Right.
That person has to be the one that identifies you in court. So many times on an old case like that, if it's set for trial, the prosecutors will try to find that person, but the defense attorney should be trying to find that person too. And if they can't be found or if they don't remember her, then that case has to be dismissed. Unfortunately, she was in jail, so she should have been trying to use the money to get out on bond and get the money to save it for trial. And so a lot of times lawyers, my clients didn't like me is because I don't want to go to trial. It might take a year to go to trial, so you need to be out on bond.
Right.
But in those days, people pled guilty to crimes
to get out
of jail. Those days aren't here now, but that's the unfortunate part about her story. She had to plead guilty to it because she wanted to get out of jail.
I did.
So she took a felony conviction for this, and they reduced it to 1244A. 1244A is a felony punished as a misdemeanor. Misdemeanors are punished in the Harris County Jail or any county jail in Texas. And so they gave you, 45 days? And so she had to do half of that. She had to do 22 and a half days or whatever that is.
But you had time served, right?
Well, she was still going to court. She was still going to court. Time served, you think of somebody walking out. He pled her, and she might have still had some days to do. Because he pled up front, he didn't really look into it. He got 2 checks, and he didn't look into it. So she got screwed.
I did.
Because she could have fought that case. Because the likelihood of the cashier at a car dealership remembering her to identify her, honestly. Now, she might have lied, or he might have lied, but generally, they can't identify you. I've been in this business 32 years, and generally, cashiers who take the checks, they deal with too many people. They don't remember those people like that.
Miss King, it was a whole new management team, so she would have been able to identify me no way.
Right. Well, the cops could find her like they found you. They could find who did it. If she initialed, you know how when you pass the check to someone, the person might be writing some stuff off of your ID, but they initial it too. Oh, okay. So when the check comes back, they know which cashier took it. Okay. You see them writing, you know how they be scribbling? Part of that scribble is their initials. But sometimes the initials are not legible. They might not know. So I know. So I'm just letting you know there are ways that case should have been properly investigated since it was so old, and you had returned the car. They should have been subpoenaing the records of Mike Calvert to show that that car was returned. All that. If they would have gone through all that, by the time it got to trial, the DAs would have dismissed it. It might have been a long year. And so a lot of times I stopped doing little cases like that because I want to fight for people's records. And people just say, let me just get it over with and take the probation. But I would always tell my clients and their mothers, parents, but this is going to haunt them for the rest of their lives. Don't call me. I would almost make them write something down. Especially a felony conviction.
Well, no, the irony about the criminal justice system is murder cases and theft cases, though one sounds worse than the other, they give you a harder time.
They do.
For theft than they do if you have a murder conviction.
And let me tell you what else is cold. When you have a theft conviction like she does, you can't serve on a jury.
Well, I just said they raised the bar on theft.
I know, but I want to tell the viewers in this educational program that you can't serve on a jury if you have a theft conviction. And there were court-appointed lawyers back in the day that all the little 17 and 18-year-olds doing shoplifting, there were lawyers that would say, just take time served. Plead guilty and takes time served. And their records are messed up forever because that's considered a crime of moral turpitude.
That's it.
And so there are certain jobs you can't get, and they were doing that to the minority community. We made sure when we were there that they stopped that. They stopped that. We give all of the minor young offenders, well, all of them for theft. We give them pretrial intervention.
So they created a loophole to kind of keep.
It's not a loophole. A loophole is
Well, I'm saying they created a law.
No. They exercised a part of the law to hurt you.
Right.
But I'm talking about the lawyers did that. There were a group of lawyers that didn't care about black and brown kids who were getting a lot of these little theft shoplifting cases. And the cold thing about shoplifting, it's bad. It's a crime. Kids should have to do something. They should have to be on some type of probation.
Consequences.
They should have some consequences. But in all the shoplifting cases, the store gets their merchandise back. Yeah. So, they catch you walking out the door and they take the merchandise back and they take you to the back, take your picture, call the police, and they come get you. So it's not like they've not lost anything. I mean, they've lost faith in the system. They've had to pay for the security guards who are doing it, but it's not like they've lost something. So you could give a child a second chance. But we do that now, but it wasn't being done in those days.
It wasn't.
It wasn't being done in those days. They were giving everybody convictions.
Yeah, and I tell you, that's what deterred me from applying for traditional employment.
Right.
Is because they would run my background, and they would see theft by check.
Right.
And they would think that I'm a hardcore criminal. Right. And I'll steal their stuff, and that couldn't be.
Right.
That's untrue.
Her story had too much. Hers is too complicated with a car. And bringing it back and it not working and her being poor and, on the bus line. No, there should have been a little compassion there. We don't do that anymore. Another thing that we stopped doing when I was at the DA's office this last time around was we used to drive me crazy when I was a defense attorney was the, what is it called? Welfare fraud. We stopped doing that. They used to put all the black women, they get a job, they're still getting benefits, they would give them a felony conviction and they lose a job they just got. But it would be a job making minimum wage. And they still would qualify for the part for their children, it would be just a small amount. I mean, it was something that we stopped doing it. They can be punished administratively, like kicked out of the program. So we just let the administrative process take its place. We stopped that too because it stops people from working. Because this is not a hardcore criminal. This is somebody that wants to work. So now she has to create her own foundation and create her own job where she could have been working all these years.
All these years.
Yeah. All these years. Production. She's intelligent. She has 2 college degrees, and so she should be working. And so I hope the next generation makes these theft crimes, because there's some states who've made the theft crimes after it's been like 10 years and you've never been in trouble before, where you can get them expunged. A lot of those.
And that's what we're in. My organization is in the process of going to the leg session that starts in the next couple of weeks to start fighting for laws that talk about that. We're looking for expungement laws. We're looking for sealment laws, especially when you have paid your debt to society and you are an upright citizen. You should be able to go and move forward. You shouldn't have to have that lingering over the top of your head every time you turn around when you want to go and find a job or when you want to go apply for a place to live. You know, so it's like pulling teeth if you want to go and get a decent place to live, because that's the first thing that they check for, to see if in fact you have a criminal record. And if in fact you do have that criminal record, you're not going to be eligible to rent that apartment, and they'll take your money.
And then do the background check later. Let me tell you one of the laws y'all could copy off of, because I have a lawyer that told me in Michigan, I know they had a 10-year, if it's a 10 years you've never been in trouble, that they could get it expunged, because she was going there to help someone get it expunged in Michigan, which is where she was from. So if you want to try to copy a law, I've never read it, but I know that Michigan has that law, the state of Michigan. So if y'all want to pull that,
I do.
Maybe you can. I know people are fighting for it, but it's tough. I think we're going to have younger legislators, you know, kind of like when they come in the next 10, 15 years, marijuana might become legal. You know, it has to be a different mindset. That old mindset that runs the legislature now, the old Republican mindset, is not going to do it.
It's not going to do it. It's not going to do it. We had House Bill 2300 last session, the 89th session, passed the House, and New Wings was designed to expunge records and seal records. And we couldn't get it to pass the House.
The Senate.
We couldn't get, the Senate. We couldn't get it to pass the Senate simply because the Senate felt like no.
Could you get it to the House?
We got it through the House, yeah. Alma Allen was the author of that bill, her and Penny Shaw, State Representative Penny Shaw. We fought.
Where's Penny Shaw?
She's in 147, I believe, 147 and 146 district here
in Houston. I don't know.
Yeah, Penny Morales Shaw. Yeah, she's a state representative. So they fought tirelessly to try to get that bill passed, and it did pass. So now
With
we're
the Senate.
Yeah,
and you're not going to get it through. Abbott's not going to sign anything like that. I wish you would.
Yeah, and I hear that all the time, and I'm like, you have individuals that's on your team that ran from the feds, so if he's to be caught, he's going to be traveling the road like the remaining 9 million people in the state of Texas that have convictions on their records. So I think that it would be advantageous for him to go ahead and try to do something good so his legacy won't be turned upside down. But he don't see that. He only sees what he sees. So I do believe you when you say that that's going to be an uphill battle. But my mind is not going to drop it.
Right. No, I think it's a battle.
Yeah.
It's a battle that must be fought.
Right.
And eventually you'll win the battle.
I believe that.
Eventually you'll win the battle. I just don't think it'll be this legislative session. But I do believe that the more you do it and the more you do it, eventually it gets there. It gets there. Well, Tangi, thank you so much for coming and talking to us tonight and telling your story. You actually had two stories wound up in one, right? So 2 stories wound up in one. Very, very interesting story. We're being told to wrap up, so I'm going to let Danny say something right quick, and then I'm going to let you say something right quick, and you're just going to give me another 2 minutes.
So my 2025 resolution is to make my wealth my health, and my smile my style.
Right. I think I'm gonna have to adopt that, because that's what I'm doing, and also throw in that legislative piece of legislation that I want. So I'm gonna fight this fight until I close my eyes to get the laws changed in Texas so individuals can move forward.
Well, I really appreciate Tangi Smith for coming in and telling us her very, very intriguing story. Thank you. Keep up the fight. Keep up the fight. What do they say? What's the saying? When we fight, we win. When we fight, we win. When we fight, we win. And so we're going to keep on fighting all of 2025. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time. Good night. Thank you for tuning in again. Tonight we have something really good, a hot topic in the news this week. He's been charged with crime. This is a show where